Powered by FantasyGuru.com, Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective.
Welcome, everyone, to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. I'm your host today, Ray Flowers. I'm with you Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Justin Festerman's with you on Wednesdays. 5 days a week here on Fantasy Sports Day, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We go about an hour. We have a lot of fun. We talk about a lot of things. We try to keep it personable. We try to put a little personality into it. We talk baseball. We talk basketball. We talk football. We'll talk football and baseball today. And we try to encourage you to, share, like, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. This free show from FantasyGuru.com. And, of course, go over to FG and sign up for one of the products, clicking that subscribe tab in the top right corner. What are we doing today? Let's throw it up on the screen. Here's what we're doing today. Now, we're going to talk some baseball before we talk some football in about 25, 30 minutes, as we always do on Fridays. We're going to visit with Russell Clay. We got round one in the NFL to talk about. I don't know if you guys all, and gals, excuse me, I shouldn't be talking just about one sex. I don't know if you all saw our draft coverage last night. If you didn't, there is a live stream over at FantasyGuru.com. The crew was on there basically the entire first round of the draft, reacting in real time. It's like a 4-hour show. So check that out over at FantasyGuru.com. Again, you can click that subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. Sign up for the seasonal football package or sign up for the franchise mode. Either one of those will get you the opportunity to see the live stream from last night. Send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com. Support at FantasyGuru.com. Get signed up to see the 4 hours last night. We'll have Russell, who was on last night, on tonight, and we'll talk about the draft. Some of the big storylines coming out. The Jaguars trading up, Shedeur Sanders falling out of the first round, McMillan to the Panthers. Why did the Bears choose the tight end they did? Dallas passing on a running back. The Steelers not going in a direction any of us thought they would go. We'll talk about that in about 25 or so minutes with Russell. Before that, we'll talk a lot about baseball. That's what we do here. On Mondays, I do a full hour of baseball, for those of you looking for kind of an update. Monday's a full hour of baseball. Tuesday, it's me and Armando Versal, half baseball, half football. Thursday and Friday, first half is baseball, second half is football. On Thursdays, we talk with Tyler Beaker, and on Fridays, we talk with Russell Clay. Justin Fensterman kind of mixes and matches a lot of basketball on that show, also some baseball, also some football. Justin does it all on Wednesdays as well. By the way, our show, Justin and mine, we're on Elite Sports Game Time. That's Monday through Friday from 8 to 10 Eastern on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. That show was taking a hiatus for a couple of days while we covered the NFL draft. We'll be back on Monday next week, and we'll finally get back to some consistency. 8 to 10 Eastern, Monday through Friday, SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, Justin and me on Elite Sports Game Time. Jeff Mans is on the Elite Sports Show from 3 to 6 Eastern on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. He's on Monday through Friday. Ted Schuster also joins. I join on Wednesdays. So I'm on with Jeff there on Wednesdays, which is why I'm not here on Wednesdays. So we got a lot of ways to listen to us, to watch us, to get involved with the conversation. I said watch, that's right. Say it every day, just to throw it out there yet again. 3 places you can watch the show. And if you're watching those shows live and not on delay, if you're watching them live, you can leave comments and questions that we'll address during the actual show. Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, and YouTube.com/@FantasyGuruSite. There we go. So those are the places we can watch. All right, let's dive into this. Excuse me, I got a little bit of a cold I'm dealing with here, so I apologize for that. No. Just no. And I've talked about this and gone over this, and I'm going to go over it one more time. Right or wrong, and I could end up being wrong. And we talked about this player on the show, I think it was earlier this week, actually. And I said, look, the ERA is 2.8. The whip is 1.0. The strikeout to walk rate is like 4.5 to 1. The walk rate is like 3.4%. All these numbers are great. Now, the strikeouts are missing, and that's not good. We got a 16% strikeout rate there. That's not good. But I went over this player in depth. This player was my breakout pitcher of the year. It's Nick Lodolo of the Reds. And again, it's the last time I'm going to say this. I do not understand. And it takes me a while to get going. Once I get my blood boiling, then, we got some issues here. And I don't know how many of you watching the show or what. I, on a nearly daily basis, and I'm not exaggerating, on a nearly daily basis over at FantasyGuru.com in the Discord, get a question from somebody, should they trade away or drop Nick Lodolo? It's been a month. It's been a month, and this guy's ERA is in the 2s, and his WHIP is under 1. That on the surface, that should say you want to hold the guy, number 1. Number 2, he's my breakout pitcher of the year. Why are you all asking me questions about Nick Lodolo? It really is a frustrating scenario because, number 1, he's performing pretty well. Number 2, there's no reason to hold on to him despite the lack of strikeouts. You know, okay, we're doing fine right now. And third, in the breakout pitcher of the year article, which I'm assuming people just didn't read, it shows the history of my calls in this, and I've been really good at this. Shane Baz, he's done pretty well this year, right? Last year, Hunter Brown did pretty well, right? Last year, Brian Wu did pretty good, right? Last time I'm going to address Nick Lodolo, I'm going to say this in all honesty. You ask a question about Nick Lodolo in Discord, I'm not even answering it anymore. Unless you're talking about adding him in a trade, then I'll answer it. But the answer to do I trade him or do I drop him is no. End of story. Okay, let's move on to the news of yesterday. And I keep talking about this, and there's no traction for this, so this idea is not going to take. I get it. None of you want to do this. At what point are we going to say we got to start doing just DFS, which I think, to be fair, if we pull the curtain back and look behind the scenes for a moment, our seasonal coverage at fantasyguru.com is as strong as ever, but the user base is tiny. It's the smallest it's ever been, ever. DFS is fine. Seasonal, tiny. And the reason for that is I don't think anyone has the appetite to do the 6-month thing and the grind and all that. And just look at this pitching. Cole Ragans, the latest guy. There's a guy, there's multiple guys actually, on a daily basis that get hurt on the pitcher's mound every single day. Yesterday it was Cole Ragans. Now he tweaked his groin, I guess. Sorry, I was going to say hamstring. His groin. He threw 62 pitches. There was a fervor on the internet. Everyone thinking that the Royals were pulling Cole Ragans before he could hit a strikeout prop. Like people were, because I was searching for what the issue was because I was doing other things at the time he got hurt. There was a legitimate line of thought on social media that the Royals and or Major League Baseball was in cahoots with Vegas and was pulling Ragans before he could get to his strikeout prop. Like that was everywhere. Like, come on, folks, come on. The issue was he hurt his groin. Didn't look good yesterday. Struggled against the Rockies. Difficult, obviously, to pitch in Colorado. Hurt his groin. We don't know what's the next move at this point. We haven't got an update yet. You know, when a pitcher tweaks anything, we saw this with Pablo Lopez. Pablo Lopez tweaked his hamstring. Wasn't a big deal. They put him on the injury list, gave him a start in the minors, and are bringing him back. Probably going to be the same thing with Cole Ragans, I would assume. Now, again, that's kind of a best case scenario is he doesn't miss a start. In this modern age of baseball, very unlikely that's going to happen, right? So a best case scenario really is probably skipping one start. I think that's most likely he's going to end up on the injured list, and maybe it's a 2-week thing like it was with Lopez, but everyone still wants to play in leagues with pitchers, and they just go down and down and down. And you know, we're still in April, and it's already a war zone of injuries, and it's really frustrating. As an analyst, I'm sure it's frustrating as a player. I know it's frustrating as a player because I look at my teams, and you know, I talk about it all the time. I'm in 14, 15-team mixed leagues. I can't go to the waiver wire and pick up any of the players that you pick up. The players that you're picking up off the waiver wire were drafted in the 22nd round in my leagues. Like, there's no one on the waiver wire. There's no one. Yeah, so we'll look for updates on Cole Ragans, and we'll see. We just don't know right now. Garret Crochet got hit hard by the Mariners. Woof. That's surprising. 4 runs and 5 innings of work. He had 9 strikeouts, so he still had the stuff going, but he also walked 5 guys. He was all over the place. And we've talked a lot about Crochet signed that large extension, the $160 million extension with the Red Sox, never having thrown 150 innings. You know, the Red Sox believing he can get there. The Red Sox just letting him go. He threw 110 pitches yesterday. And again, 9 strikeouts, 5 walks is a massive. That's 14, obviously, in 5 innings. That's a massive number in 5 innings. He threw 110 pitches. Is his next start going to get skipped? Is his next start going to get pushed back a day? Is his next start, is he going to get pulled at 85 pitches? Something to think about with Crochet the next time out. He's set to face Toronto next time out if he stays on schedule. But that was a really wonky effort with a ton of pitches. And it's not just, you know, 110 pitches in 8 innings, 110 pitches in 5 innings is a lot. So again, take a look. Could be skipped next time out as they worry a little bit about long-term. Probably not going to do that. Might give him an extra day of rest. That seems kind of likely. or they might actually have him just on a lower pitch count next time. So keep an eye on that with Garret Crochet. Rafael Devers, it was 0 for 19 with 15 strikeouts to start the season. The worst start to a season basically in baseball history. And then for a 10-day period of time, his on-base percentage was like 500, and everything looked normal again. Well, now he's gone 5 consecutive games without a base hit, including going 0 for 4. So his last 13 games, he is 4 for 40. Now, it's not Jock Peterson, who went 0 for 41. But it's 4 for 40. Now, he's walked 12 times, so okay, his on-base percentage is okay during this stretch of 13 games. But Devers is just, it's just not happening right now. And, there's some of this, he had a wonky spring. Some of this is probably that. Some of this is probably his shoulder. Some of this is probably the DH spot. And we talked about this when the decision was made by the Red Sox. A lot of guys take the DH spot immediately. Some guys it takes a while, and some guys never do. It's an unknown, right? Devers right now is hitting 194, which is horrendous. Still has a 331 on base percentage. So we're talking about a gap of 135 points between his batting average and his on base percentage. His career number is 75 points. So he's still, his walk rate is 17%. It's a fantastic number. And given that he's usually hitting second, that's great for the Red Sox lineup because he's always on base. Strikeout rate of 30%, easily a career worst for him. We're talking about a player who's about 21% for his career. So tons of strikeouts. So basically, he's seen a lot of pitches, a ton of pitches. Walking great, way too many strikeouts. And when he's hitting the ball, he's just not driving it. He's had an isolated power mark of over 200 6 straight years. And the mark right now is 133. Now, the launch angle's up a little bit. It's 15%. I'd like to see, that's a good number. I don't have a problem with that number. His number is usually 11, 12. So it's a little higher. But again, 15%, I'm totally comfortable with that. The exit velocity has never been higher. The barrel rate has never been higher, and the heart rate has never been higher. So the real issue we have with Devers is he's just got to make more contacts. When he's hitting the baseball, he's doing more damage velocity-wise, that kind of stuff. Even though it's not reflecting in it's not being reflected in his isolated power mark, right? Which is also intriguing because if you look at his ground ball to fly ball ratio, it's basically the same. Bottom line is it's all wonky with Devers. He's too good. He's been too good and too consistent for this not to get much better than it is. Are we going to be seesawing this thing all year long because of the DH spot? I'm starting to wonder one of two things. How healthy is that shoulder? He's playing every day, so I'm assuming it's fine. Or the DH spot. Is he just not comfortable? I think we're kind of seeing that right now. Royce Lewis, speaking of uncomfortable, excuse me for a second. Royce Lewis got that hamstring injury. Let me take a sip of water. I knew this was going to happen today. Sorry about this. Feel fine, just got that old frog in the throat, which doesn't work very well when you're talking for a living. But Royce Lewis has come back from the hamstring injury. He's going to start his rehab assignment today at AAA, St. Paul. It's been so long since he's played. The best case scenario is probably he's back like next Friday. That's probably a best case scenario, I would think. Teams often do the following, which I don't appreciate or really approve of. They have a guy that's missed time with injury. Guy gets to the end of the path here, get ready to go. And like Royce Lewis, they activate him after 3 days. Let's hope they're not doing that. Let's hope they let him get his stroke back because he's missed a month of action here with the hammy. So my assumption is, again, next Friday is kind of a best case scenario. We'll see how that goes. He's obviously a huge piece. And it's one of those things that, I wouldn't have drafted Royce Lewis. I think everyone knows that at this point. But if you did, this is just the Royce Lewis experience. So hopefully when he comes back, he bashes right away. Because the dude's a really good offensive player. We all know that. Just staying on the field is the thing. So, if he comes back and hypothetically hits 3 home runs the first 10 days and he's batting 350, I'm not against considering trading him. Now, again, it all depends on your team, the makeup of your squad, what the return is, all that. But remember, the history with Royce Lewis says it's not ever going to be just one thing. It's not likely that Royce Lewis plays 125 games now this year. It's not likely to happen. Could. Not likely. He's likely to have another injury at some point, so keep that in mind when you're trying to figure out what his outlook should be in 2025. The Rockies played a doubleheader. Excuse me. I don't have a cough button on this thing that works, so I apologize for that. Jordan Beck, as we talked about earlier, is going to get a chance to play outfield on a consistent basis now that Zach Veen has been demoted. We talked yesterday I think it was, about this. The Rockies don't really have a plan. I don't think they really know what they're doing. I think it's pretty clear based upon all the moves they make that, they're not a good team. And for some reason, they're not playing Bean every day. They're not playing Beck every day. They're not playing Abador every day. I don't understand this. They should be playing these guys on a daily basis. Jordan Beck, though, is the beneficiary of Zach Veen being demoted. Yesterday, 3 home runs for Beck, including 2 hits in both games. So, okay. Now, remember in the case of Beck, he's got the ability to hit 20 home runs. He's got the ability to steal 20 bases. In theory, he's 24 years old now. In theory, he's a 2020 performer at the big league level, especially with Coors Field. In reality, we just have not seen that. I mean, he's played 69 games at the big league level, and his OPS is 587. His Madison Bumgarner offensively. Madison Bumgarner pitcher. Okay, and the biggest issue Beck has had is the strikeouts. Career strikeout rate 36%. This year it's 37%. This is not going to work with the 36%, 7% strikeout rate. It's not going to work. I don't need to see anything else. It is not going to work if he does that. And with the Rockies' inability to stay with a player, right, to let him play 3 or 4 months instead of 3 weeks, Beck had a nice day yesterday, really nice day yesterday, 3 home runs. If he, goes 1 for his next 18 with 11 strikeouts, are they going to demote him? Maybe. So there will be a lot of excitement, I think, heading into the weekend for Beck because he's going to be the outfielder now. He's going to play every day, and he had 3 home runs. Be cautious. There is that player lurking there. But there's been high levels of uncertainty with his performance. You look at his numbers last season in the minors, they were great. You look at his numbers in 2023 in the minors, they were really good. You look at the scouting report, it's really, really positive. But he's just not been able to find his footing at the major league level. Maybe the Rockies give him a shot. I'm not buying that they will. And watch the strikeouts. That's the big key for Jordan Beck. On the exact opposite end of strikeouts is Jacob Wilson. I don't know. Remember the last time we talked about him? We talked about him at the start of the season. The shortstop of the Athletics, who is off to a fantastic start. He's hitting .330. Now, I've written about him over at fantasyguru.com. He's batting .330, and he's got 14 runs and 12 RBIs in 24 games, which are really good numbers for him. If you were to tell me he would keep that pace up all season long, I'd be wow, right? And for a guy who's mostly hit 6th or 7th, those are really good numbers. Now, the issue with Wilson is that he has 1 steal. He's not going to steal. I mean, if he got to 6 or 7 steals, that's pretty good. He's got 2 home runs. If he got to 10 or 12 home runs, that'd be pretty good. So he's kind of like Luis Ariz, if we're going to typecast him, right? And he is hitting .330 right now. But the issue with Wilson, who's got preternatural ability to put the bat on the ball, you can't strike him out. His strikeout rate this year is 4%. We were just talking about Beck at 36%. It's 4% for Wilson. He will not strike out, just like Luis Ariz. He's got a 1% walk rate. He has walked 1 time in 24 games. Once. He's walked 9 times in 52 games in his career. So, while he's a .290 career hitter, his on-base percentage is only .325. So that's a real concern with Wilson because his on-base percentage is directly tied to his batting average. Whereas we were talking about a 100-plus point gap between the number with Devers, right, because of all the walks. Wilson's not going to walk. So if Wilson hits .275, his on-base percentage is going to be .305. So even if Wilson's a productive player in a 5x5 setup, hitting .275, if he's hitting .275 in a points league or an on-base percentage league, and that number's .305, he's not even league average. So good and bad for Wilson. Overall, really good. And again, he's consistent. He's in the lineup. He's on pace to hit 300 and score 85 runs. Positive all around, but keep an eye on that walk rate because it eventually, you can't get a base hit every game, right? You got to get on base from the walk sometimes, and he just doesn't walk. Yandy Diaz, speaking of a guy that walks a lot, Yandy Diaz kind of pulling a Beck here. Yandy Diaz had 3 hits yesterday, an RBI and a run scored. That is 2 straight games with 3 hits. For Yandy Diaz, I wanted to bring him up because Diaz is somebody that I have on a couple of teams, and I haven't been playing him because he hasn't been worthy of being in a lineup. I know that some of you have had Diaz and you've dropped him. Hitting .350 the last week, the last 2 weeks, playing 13 games. He's batting .321 with 10 RBIs. Overall numbers are still poor, and he's not a star by any means, but hopefully he didn't give up on Yandy Diaz because again, we're talking a 2-week period of time where he's hitting .320 with 10 RBIs. He's still going to get on base. He's still going to bat leadoff for the Rays. Just wanted to throw his name out there because he's probably on the waiver wire in a lot of your leagues. I bet that's the case, probably a lot of them. So keep that in mind here as we're moving forward. His teammate Cristopher Morel hit a home run, had a double, had 3 RBIs yesterday. And Morel is a really interesting player because he likely is dual position eligible. Depends on your setup, of course, but I think he is. Interestingly, he's only played outfield this season. So he's looked like only going to be an outfield eligible player next year. He's batting .268 with 3 home runs and a couple of steals. His strikeout rate, despite the good things, despite the home run yesterday, the multiple hits, strikeout rate this year is 40%, 4-0. Now, he, for his career, has a mark of just under a tick under 30%. It's like 29.8 or something. 30% is really bad, and it's why he's a .225 career hitter. On the surface, you might see him hitting .268 right now and say, okay, this is the year he hits .250. Maybe it is the year he hits .250. Okay? Can't overlook that as being possible. But what I can say to you is his strikeout rate is 40%. He's not going to hit .210 with a strikeout rate of 40%. 268 right now, 40% strikeout rate. If he hits .220 this season, he's hitting 193 the rest of the way, right? So be very cautious with getting overly excited about Morel in his start. It's not a terrible start, but if there's a guy that has to make contact, it's him, right? Because he's not Max Muncy. He's not going to hit 35 home runs. And he's also on a team in the Rays that love the platoon, right? So some pluses with Morel, but be cautious. If there's an offer to you, if you have him on your team and it's a fair offer, you might want to consider it. Ryan O'Hearn, just to throw him out there, he went 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run scored yesterday. Batting .280 with a .360 on base percentage and a .480 slugging percentage. O'Hearn only plays against righties. If you're in a deep mixed league and you have a corner infield spot, and you play him against righties, you're doing okay. It's kind of like Yandy Diaz, right? It's like if he's your starter in a 12-team league, you don't have corner infielders, you're in trouble. If you're in an A-only league, he's fantastic. If you're in a mixed league of 12, 14, 15 teams, you have corner infield spots, you can change your lineup on a daily basis. Ryan O'Hearn is pretty good because he mashes right-handed pitching. Not going to play against lefties or do anything if he happens to be out there. But he mashes right-handed pitching, and he's doing it yet again. One more final player on offense before we talk some pitching. And again, remember, we're just 10 minutes or so away from talking to Russell Clay. Maybe a little less than that, 7 minutes away from talking to Russell Clay. Jeff McNeil has been activated by the Mets. As he's been activated, Brett Beatty was sent down to AAA. Beatty needs to be traded. It's just, it hasn't happened with the Mets. This guy was top 10, 15 prospect in baseball a couple years ago, and he just can't find his footing at the big league level. And I would really wish, kind of like Reed Detmers with the Angels, I kind of wish that Brett Beatty with the Mets would be traded. Maybe get another group of people in his ear, maybe a different approach, maybe seeing, hearing things differently. There you go. Okay. I was reading a comment here in the chat room. Sorry about that. I was a little confused, but now I got it. McNeil, who cares? I mean, 15-team mixed league, your final guy on your bench. But really not much interest in Jeff McNeil. There will be an update today. So I'll do this show. I'll then have my Rays plays, which is my DFS write-up. That'll be posted then at fantasyguru.com. I'll then have bets later today too, AFG. In between that, later this afternoon, the closer grid will be updated at fantasyguru.com. And we're starting to see, remember we talked about handcuffing. Should you handcuff your relievers? I wrote an article about it. We talked about it here on the show. I don't think anyone did it. I handcuffed Puck and Martinez in one of my leagues right after writing this article. Puck's down with the injury. We still haven't got an update firmly on what's going on with his arm. Probably not good news. But I got Martinez, so I still have got the saves. With the Giants, we talked about it. I said, look, Ryan Walker's my 10th RP, but of all the top 10 guys, he makes me the most nervous. And if I was drafting Walker, I'd also draft Camilo Doval. Well, Walker struggled a little bit. A little wonky on the field. Camilo Doval picked up his 5th save yesterday. Here we go. Did you handcuff your pitchers, relief pitchers? I know you didn't, but we're already seeing why this idea makes sense, especially in certain scenarios where there was uncertainty with the guy who was in the 9th inning. So we're getting a lot of the Doval questions, and Doval, again, Doval should be added. Now, the problem with a lot of the questions I'm getting in Discord over at FG is that people are, do I drop Ryan Walker to add Doval kind of stuff? Do I drop Kenley Jansen? Not anyone said that directly, but the point is people are dropping players they shouldn't drop to add Doval. Should Doval be added? Yes. If you're in a 10-team league, I don't know if it fits your roster. If you drafted and put a team together well, probably not. In a 12-team league, am I dropping Nick Lodolo to pick up Camilo Doval? No. So, would I drop Griffin Jacks? Okay. You know what I mean? So you have to decide. It also matters if you're in a dynasty, in a solds or saves league as well. Camilo Doval is going to be added everywhere this weekend if you run Fab on Sundays. It's going to be added everywhere this weekend. Is he the closer for the Giants? Stay tuned and read about that over in the closer grid, which again will be updated today at fantasyguru.com. Kumar Rocker on the pitching side of things from starting perspective. Kumar Rocker is going on the injured list with a shoulder impingement. So they get Leiter back, they lose Rocker. And here we go again, more injuries on the hill. So we don't know long-term if Rocker is going to be part of the rotation or not. We don't know if he's going to be a reliever in the big leagues or if they're going to send him to the minor leagues. Shoulder impingement could be, they say it's mild, so maybe it's a couple, 2-3 weeks kind of thing, but still it could end up being a month, 6 weeks. I didn't see a clear timeline on how much time he's likely to miss. But Rocker, who came into the season with so much promise, really struggled in spring. Now he's injured. Starting to look like Rocker at one point in time was a top 5 pitching prospect in baseball. Then he got hurt. He was drafted, then put back in the draft and drafted again. His road to getting here is just disastrous. So it's another reminder too, if you're in a dynasty league, that thinking you got everything set because you got a high-end pitcher, it's not always the case. We'll wish Rocker well, but his short-term outlook is very muddled with the Rangers. Tobias Meyers pitched well against the Giants last night in his debut for the Brewers. 2 runs, 4 hits over 4 innings of work. If he's on the waiver wire, he's a solid addition. Number 1, he's set to face the White Sox next, which is always nice. And number 2, he had a really good year last year. Now, Meyers is not a flamethrower. He's not a bat misser. He's not a dynamic pitcher by any means. He's not someone to break the bank for. He's not someone to make a huge trade for, anything like that. He's a depth guy. And again, he should be solid. He should be in the Jose Quintana zone, right? Like a solid right matchup. We're going to use this kind of guy. You don't have to start him every time out kind of player. But he is available now and probably will be out. Let me make a note to comment on him later if anyone has a question about him in Discord. Okay. Brandon Woodruff, his teammate, threw 5 scoreless innings with 5 strikeouts last night at AAA. Obviously, a very good outing as he works his way back from his shoulder issue. We don't know when he's going to get promoted to the big leagues. Probably at least 1, if not 2 more outings down on the farm. So we're thinking early May for the return of Woodruff. Velocity was 92 last night, so wasn't down per se, but it wasn't quite back to previous levels before the surgery. We'll watch the radar gun here. 92, 94, we're seeing Jacob deGrom dial it back and still be effective. I think Brandon Woodruff can be effective at a slightly lower velocity. We'd obviously like to see him get the velocity back, but a good step last night, getting very close. And finally, before we talk to Russell Clay, Tyler Anderson, just to put it out there, gets to pitch in Seattle for his next start. And that's the best place in baseball to pitch is in Seattle. So remember that. Anderson didn't get a decision last night against the Pirates, but he allowed 3 runs over 6 innings. He's doing it again as he areas like 2-6 through 5 outings. Tyler Anderson is he's not Jamie Moyer, but he's a veteran lefty that somehow is exceeding and has for a while now really exceeded expectations. He's a streaming option. That is it. This could go poorly at any point in time. And he's going to face Seattle next. So check that out over at FG. Okay, I see a couple comments here before we talk to Russell. Let's get into it. EIO says we were discussing in Discord, what's up with Devin Williams? Again, EIO, I'll have the closer grid out today. And there is a write-up. There will be a write-up in there about Devin Williams. So look for that this afternoon. Wonky start. And both Cruz and Weaver are pitching very well behind him. Greg Martinez says, morning, Ray. Big favor, kudos to Jeff on doing on doing to Ratcliffe what we all want to do to every morning. Oh, Greg, we don't want to be negative about that. Oh, Greg, come on, Greg. Angelo, Rupp is a bum. No, he's not a bum. He's a 5th starter. And 5th starters are 5th starters for a reason. They made the decision, the Giants, to go with Rupp over Birdsong. Birdsong has excelled in relief. Rupp has been pretty effective. Did have a rough outing last time. But he's not a bum. He just had a rough start. Okay, so we'll keep the comments coming if you like. Don't forget, you can subscribe to fantasyguru.com. Click that subscribe tab at the top right corner of the page. Over at FG, send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. As I talked about earlier on the show today, we had a 4-hour extravaganza covering round one of the NFL draft last night. The ringmaster last night, the Barnum and Bailey Circus, what's his name? P.T. Barnum. P.T. Barnum of the proceedings last night is the gentleman that's going to join us now. He joins us every Friday. It's Russell Clay of FG. How you doing, Russ?
I'm good, man. That was a 4-hour live stream is a long period of time, but we had fun. Armando Marcel, Tyler Beaker, and a bunch of smart fellows hopped on.
Come on, Russ. I did 11 hours one day on Sirius.
What?
Yeah, I did 11 hours one day. I did a 4-hour show, a 4-hour show, and a 3-hour show in one day. So suck it up, Russ. Come on.
All right, fair. We'll keep it rolling. Yeah.
Well, the good news is we're only going to keep you for about 25 minutes here, so this should be a breeze. What do you have, by the way, for the rest of the draft? Do you have further plans to cover rounds 2 onward?
I might do a TikTok live for a few hours tonight, just like watching pick by pick. But in terms of, I'll be in the Discord, and yeah, we'll have a bunch of content next week, plugging away on those profiles still, and also, of course, breaking down a bunch of. I mean, this is the Dynasty Super Bowl right now, right? This is where all of our rookie picks, where 80% will be bad. We all get to be excited today, even the last place team. So,
Russell Clay of FantasyGuru.com. Again, that 4-hour live stream is stored over at FG. So if you sign up for the seasonal football package or the franchise mode, either one of those, you can sign up today. If you haven't, you can go watch the whole 4-hour thing today. So check that out. We're gonna, some of the highlights, I guess, if you will, a condensed version of what you did last night for 4 hours, Russ. Let's get into the draft a little bit. Obviously, right at the start. We had the Jaguars make a trade, and everyone was thinking the Jaguars were going to take Jeanty. That changed late, and then, you're pumping your fist because your boy Trevor Lawrence got a guy to throw the football to. Shocking. Again, all these beat reporters, all these beat writers, I didn't see a single person in the universe say the Jaguars were going to trade up to 2 to take Hunter, but they did. Talk to us about that move.
Love the move. They were in desperate need of secondary help, especially at corner, and so pre-draft, before I knew he was going to the Jags, I did compare him to Jalen Ramsey in terms of his cornerback play. Right. So that is what I see. The wide receiver stuff is all gravy. If he plays 20 snaps a game, that's awesome. If he ends up being a full-time wide receiver too, I'd love to see them try it, but this is the corner. They need the corner to help rebuild that defense. They already have some nice edge guys there. So my thought is this is a really important building block for that defense. And then if, they get 20 to 30 snaps a game on offense too, I think Travis Hunter is a spectacular prospect. And we see Shedeur Sanders fall out of day one. And I would just say to anyone who's a big Shedeur Sanders guy, if you watch these games, your eyes go straight to Travis Hunter, and on these catches, on the defense, on everything. So could be some of the reason why you were high on Shedeur Sanders in the first place.
We'll get back to Sanders in a moment,
Sure.
So stay tuned for that breakdown. I'm sure Russell had more to say there. Okay, so the Jaguars traded up to 2. They take Hunter. The expectation that we heard the last 3 days before the draft was that they were going to take Jeanty. And then the Raiders started, their smokescreen of nonsense. Oh, we want to take an offensive lineman. They wanted Jeanty. They got Jeanty at 6. That's the way it worked out. What's his outlook with the Raiders? I mean, obviously he's going to be the bell cow there. Their backfield has no one to get in his way. I mean, you're going to tell me he's a running back 1, I assume, for 2025, right? Are you excited, though, about that landing spot?
Well, you described it well. He's walking into a running back depth chart that is carnage right now. I mean, any hope for Zamir White or whatever? Remember what they were doing at the end of last year? It was like dudes off the street. Right. So Jeanty's going to be a huge presence there. They really need that. And, the Pete Carroll era, I couldn't help but think this is a little Marshawn Lynch. He's looking for his new Marshawn Lynch there in Las Vegas. So fun pick. Him and Bowers together can be, that's an excellent combo. So I'm excited for that. But first round is It's going to be hard, Ray. When Marv Harrison Jr. was up there last year, we kind of had that weird feeling. Right. Running back's a little different, but yeah.
You got a question there from Aquamarine who's asking Bowers or Jeanty in a dynasty league. Both is the answer. It's not either or. The answer to who you want, I think, completely comes down to your roster composition. I know that Russ and I have said the same thing about Bowers many times in the past in Discord. Bowers is the answer. If I had Bowers, as much as I love Jeanty, Bowers is the answer. I don't trade answers. Someone has to overpay to me to get an answer. So if you had Bowers, would you make the move to Jeanty? Even if you had a needed running back, would you do it, Russ?
I'd be fine with having both of those. They're not colliding with each other production-wise, so I would just keep both personally.
Yeah. We have a good question, another one about Jeanty. We'll ask. We'll come back to it here when we wrap things up, Shane, so stick around. Okay. Xavier Legette is a wide receiver 1. That's what his head coach said. Maybe there's a little bit of coach speak because they kind of took a wide receiver in the top 10 this year. Great news for the Panthers offense. Talk to us about McMillan there going to the Panthers. This is good. We discussed this. Bryce Young was effective in the second half. He was much more productive in the second half. Has a legit weapon now to go with Legette and Thielen. Did you like this move?
I have 2 Carolina Panther friends in my life, and there was a great 10-second clip of a guy at the draft when McMillan got picked. He was like, and that's how I feel about it as well, where I'm not sure that was their number one need. And they did just spend a first rounder on Legette. So I get it. And you want to make things better for Bryce, and Bryce was a lot better in the second half of last year. So I do like it, but overall, I'm not so Tet McMillan getting drafted in the Drake London, Mike Evans-ish draft spot, right? That late top 10 pick. High standards for that pick. So that is a high standard selection for McMillan. So we're going to, if we don't see production if we don't see production in year 1, he's tilting towards failing expectations. So could be a bumpy ride early on.
We're talking to Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. Joins us every Friday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Again, catch his 4-hour breakdown with the crew over at FG. The live stream from last night about this. 4 hours of the first round, not 14 minutes here like we're doing. Excuse me. Question from David Pease, and it's the next position I wanted to ask you about. And it's a question a lot of people are asking themselves. Guys, can you break down the difference between Warren and Loveland, and where would you rank them in your tight end rankings? Jeff Mann's very disappointed last night that the Bears took Loveland over Warren. I think most people were scratching their head a little bit at that decision. Did you have Warren ahead of Loveland? And what do you think about these two guys, Russ?
I did. And this is one of those situations where we wait for the draft for some of these decisions to play out. Because, yeah, I had Warren over Loveland. But Ben Johnson just did the whole Sam Laporta thing, right, and now he's doing a top 10 pick on a tight end. This feels like his guy. This feels like his pick, and I'm in on that. So infrastructure-wise, I'm higher on Loveland now, so he moves ahead. With that said, Warren's awesome. And Warren was my tight end 1 before the draft, and I'm still excited about him. The only problem is year 1, year 2, that quarterback play might be hard to get him the ball.
Yeah, Warren, by the way, is with the Colts. That's who took him at 14. We don't know who the quarterback's going to be. The Colts have literally 702 tight ends on their roster. That's a little bit of an issue. That's an issue too. Komet's done. Komet just signed a contract extension last year, if I'm not mistaken. This happens when the coaching staff changes, but he's done, right?
You'd have to imagine so, right? You'd have to imagine so. I've always liked Komet. Soft spot in my heart. He's all right, but they did try to replace him with Gerald Everett already. He's like the guy on the show that they keep trying to replace, but he sticks around somehow. I imagine he'll play snaps, maybe some 2 tight end sets, but Loveland, you'd have to figure comes in year 1 and is a starter.
John G with a comment here, Russ, by the way. He thinks you know the only two Carolina Panther fans.
Well, that fan base been drying up, John. It's been drying up.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. The Dallas Cowboys 2 months ago were a lock to take Jeanty. Obviously, that's not the way it played out. We still thought they might take a running back. We know Jerry Jones loves running backs. They obviously will take a running back at some point in the draft. But they took Tyler Booker instead last night, the offensive lineman. Were you surprised by that decision by the Cowboys?
It felt like a reach. Guards that early always feel like a reach, but they did take – when did they take Zach Martin? That was like a decade ago now, but that was thought of as a reach at that time as well. The Cowboys get a lot of flack, but I will say, and I've been saying this, they do draft well, especially offensively. So Cowboys with offensive linemen has been a pretty high hit rate. So I feel like leaning on trusting them with this pick is the move for me here. He's got some funny interviews if you go watch. That's Booker. So could be a reach, but if he becomes a long-term starter from them, nobody's going to care.
Let's go to the Steelers. What Super Bowl was that Dallas against Pittsburgh? It was like 78 or something, 79, right? The old school. Lynn Swann, John Stallworth. Everyone thought if this draft played out in a certain way, the Steelers are taking their quarterback, right? That seems to be the one piece they can't quite get figured out. So, of course, the Steelers take a defensive tackle. Build on your strength. Okay. They still don't have a quarterback. It's Mason Rudolph. I don't know if they're going to make a trade. I don't know if Ayahuasca Man's going to return to the NFL and Aaron Rodgers. I don't know what's going on, but they didn't take a quarterback. And both Shedeur Sanders and Dart were there. So this is, Mike Tomlin has done a lot of great things, but this is a defining moment in his entire career. He could have taken the quarterback. They didn't take the quarterback. What do you think about the decision to go with Derek Harmon? And what are your thoughts now? Because they didn't get the running back. They didn't get the quarterback. They didn't trade Pickens. And they helped their strength by taking a defensive tackle.
I was never a fan of this quarterback class from day one, and they made a mistake a few years ago in 2022. Sorry, Kenny Pickett, if you're watching, I'm sorry. Yeah, but that was never a class where there should have been a first-round quarterback, and they took Kenny Pickett anyway. They didn't do that this year, which I commend them. However, you mentioned their much bigger problem, which is their depth chart says Mason Rudolph right now. You'd have to imagine it's Aaron Rodgers, but I don't blame them for skipping on quarterback this year. It's just such a sketchy class. I know the Giants ended up going quarterback, and there's a few guys that in the second round, now Sanders or Milroe or Dart in the second round, I'm in. Let's fire away. It's just using that round one pick on some of these guys would really make me uncomfortable. Yeah.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. I mean, let's talk. And this was called by Jeff Mans. Shedeur Sanders, he said, is all ESPN's going to talk about. And, when Shedeur Sanders didn't go to the Steelers, chaos ensued with the ESPN broadcast. I had to turn it off. It was all, Shedeur Sanders, 7% chance of being. Shedeur Sanders was going to go second in the draft. That's what we heard 3 months ago. That was an option. Then he was going to go ninth in the draft. Then he absolutely was going to go to the Steelers if he was still there. He didn't get drafted in the first round. Shedeur Sanders, you surprised by this? Because again, I'm not making this up. There was a period of time where people were predicting he'd go second overall in this draft. He didn't even go in the top 32 last night.
If this were Madden franchise mode and I talked to nobody for months at a time and I just walked into this thing and evaluated Shedeur Sanders, and then we did a draft, a simulation draft,
right?
I would go, yeah, early day 2. Okay. That's perfect.
Okay.
Also, guys, that's where Jalen Hurts went a few years ago. And that's where, some of these other guys went, that it is a new era of football where quarterback play is much different now. And some of these second round quarterbacks have higher odds of hitting than they did a decade or two ago. A decade or two ago, it was really just Drew Brees, and everyone else from that round got smoked. So I think Sanders is going to be fine. And it's just, this was always the truth. We just had this weird cloud around it. And I did see Jeff post that as he was heading onto the radio yesterday. And I laughed because that's all it was. It was wild how much coverage there was around that. And hey, good for them. At this point, Ray, maybe you should just become a streamer and make like $100 million, you know?
Hey, there's worse ways to make money, I guess. You play up the hits. That's what they always tell you in radio. But Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. I wasn't planning on asking this, but since we're talking about the quarterback position, do you like Jackson Dart to the Giants? That seems like a good idea. They got Russell Wilson there. They had Jackson Dart for the future. You're kind of smiling like, not really.
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. Why not?
I was just, he's fine. Okay. I don't know. He's a total project. I do like that they have vets there that can start over him year one. If he gets a good system, I do like Dable. I do think Dart can develop. First round just comes with a lot of expectations. So I do think that's a good pick there. I'm glad they didn't do it like top 10. But yeah, again, I haven't been very high on this quarterback class from the beginning.
John G said it'd be really cool. That's not really what he says. But if Shedeur Sanders went to the Browns, hey man, the Browns they need a quarterback. They've been linked to Kirk Cousins, of course. That's a totally different end of the career, big contract. Not the craziest thing. I mean, do you have a betting odds on where Shedeur Sanders ends up now, or is that even interesting?
So they have 2 picks, 33 and 36 to start day 2. That's a high likelihood to me that he ends up going there. You see the Raiders, Saints said they're out, but who knows if that's really true. And it's much like round 1 though, where most of these QB spots are taken at this point. And so now the Giants and the Titans are out on quarterback. So we are in a strong era of teams either have young quarterbacks they're developing or they have the vets that they're sticking with. So not many options for Shedeur, but I would think Cleveland or Vegas would be 1 or 2.
Shane Anders asked a question, other than Jeanty, top 3 guys from the draft that were taken in the first round from a dynasty perspective, Russ. Was it the same 3 guys you would have said 36 hours ago? Did the draft spot change your thoughts? Who would be your top 3 guys that were taken in the first round from a dynasty perspective at this point?
Jeanty's 101, and then Omari and Hampton is 102. Really, really fascinating draft pick. After bringing in Najee Harris, they do draft their guy. Harbaugh, that's a Harbaugh running back right there. Straight lines, powering through people. So that's going to be a really, really fun situation there. And then Tet McMillan would be my 103 right now and a 1 quarterback. But yeah, I think day 2 is where the fantasy people, as most years it is, day 2 and 3 is where we really figure out these rookie drafts. Day 1 had a few fun picks, but for the most part, we're sweating out franchises and their futures more so than our rookie drafts.
Some overarching questions before we let you go, Russ. Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. You can follow him on Twitter X at Russell J. Clay. He joins us every Friday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Biggest first round surprise, just overall, big picture. Was it a player being taken, a player not being taken, the trade, something different? What was the biggest surprise to you?
Truthfully, on the live stream, I was shocked when the Chargers took a running back, because I was just so locked in on Najee Harris. And then we spent about 5 to 10 minutes talking through my Najee Harris bias and how he runs for 3.5 yards per carry. So we've accepted reality with that one. I'm glad I didn't click the Najee Harris button all off season. But that was shocking to me. Other than that, this felt like a really chalky first round. A lot of linemen, a lot of defensive linemen there and the quarterbacks. Dart was rumored to go late first, so that happened. And then when you got to that end of the first round, there was a little cheeky trade between the Eagles and Chiefs, which you wouldn't expect that to happen.
Right.
To actually make a trade.
Right.
So that was fun. But I would argue the surprise was that less trades, teams just stayed where they were. And after the past few years where it started to look like the NBA and spiraling, everyone kind of just stayed put there.
That was like the lowest trade number in like decades.
Yeah.
And like you said, that last one wasn't like they gave up like 164th pick overall to move up like one spot. It was a weird, that wasn't even a real trade. Come on. All right. So that's your biggest first round surprise. You always have to ask the following two questions. So let's go one by one here. Who's the biggest winner in the first round? Who did it right? Who did it well? Who's the biggest winner?
I love the Patriots getting an offensive lineman. I thought that's exactly what I wanted months out. Even as we headed towards the end of last year, my thought, we got to save Drake May here, man. Right. We got to save this guy because he's going to end up like a lot of these other. Drake May is a runner by nature. And so if he's getting pressured, he's going to run. So we got to get him protection. I really like that the Giants didn't feel the pressure to take quarterback in 3. They took Abdul Carter, and then they came back and swung back at the end of the round. So even though I don't love the Dart pick, I love that they didn't pressure themselves into taking it that high. And then they sort of came around the back there. So I really like that. As much as I love Travis Hunter, I think that's the best pick of the round, and I think the Jags are huge winners there. But the Browns got a Jags first round pick, and that roster is far from finished. So they got a nice little life insurance policy taken out on the Jags there. And if anything goes down or Lawrence struggles again next year or things start falling apart, you could see a really nice return for the Browns there.
Loser. Is it a player?
Loser.
Is it a team? Is it a city? Is it anyone that didn't watch the live stream last night and missed it? Who's the biggest loser round one?
Oh, man. Well, the Steelers, again, have Mason Rudolph as their starting quarterback. So I commend them for not taking the bait, I still look at that and say they are wasting prime years of a good roster, and Rodgers is not fixing that. So, again, it was so chalky. I don't love Colston Loveland top 10.
Right.
I think that's a weird reach, but it's Ben Johnson. So what do I know?
By the way, circling back to the Najee Harris thing, they only gave him a 1-year contract, right?
Yeah.
I think they told him when they signed him that contract that, oh, by the way, you're going to get 7 touches a week.
There's no way, Ray. There's no way.
Yeah.
They
or
definitely
maybe
promised him a starting role,
right? Maybe it's 4 touches a week now. It may not be 7, right? Like,
yeah.
Now he's an excellent support piece. Like for the team, it's excellent. But for the player, going from a scenario where he was, getting 275 every year with touch count to
can't be happy.
Now getting 120. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I don't know. And again, I mean, he's a football player. He's getting paid millions of dollars. And not that I've never been to Pittsburgh, but I love Southern California. It's beautiful there, so I get it. But yeah, that's interesting too, right? And we still got the Kirk Cousins thing. He's got the power whether or not he's going to veto a trade. And Rodgers, is he going to play? You mentioned earlier the Saints. Derek Carr, his shoulder injury, like he's now saying it happened in week 14, and there was reports that he made it up, and there was reports that it happened 2 years ago. Like, we got a lot going on at that quarterback position still, and a lot of veterans that are, I guess, jockeying for some playing time, Russ.
The losers of this draft were the teams that needed quarterback, pretty much. They had nowhere to go,
Yeah. Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. I'm assuming, Russ, that you're going to do a total refresh of the dynasty rankings. Is that Monday it'll be done. Wednesday, do you have a target date for that?
So we usually update them every Wednesday, but this probably calls for an earlier update than that. So I'll be looking at those this weekend, and we might have something coming out either Sunday or Monday. And yeah, so total rehaul for a lot of these teams. So big shifts.
Yeah, you got to get it out by Monday, Russ, because that's when my Dynasty League draft starts.
Oh, no.
It was the one, I think we talked about it, where we decided to redraft the entire team.
Yeah.
Because we lost a couple owners. We're going from, I think, 16 teams to maybe 12 teams. Over under on the amount of days a slow draft with 45 roster spots is going to take. I'm going to say 45 days is the over under. What do you think?
Depends if somebody has a bunch of picks and they're ready to go, it could go really fast, like way faster than you think. I've seen drafts that are long, but 3 people have 60% of the picks.
No, we're doing the entire team, all 45.
Oh, that's going to take a while.
I put a round a day, which I'm thinking there's no chance. Is there a chance we do a round a day, 45 rounds, 45 days?
Are you guys tag teaming in a group chat of some sort?
Yeah, but my experience is there are people, this is the biggest dread of my life right now is this draft.
Really?
This draft, Jeff Mann's put the over-under at 90 days. There are people that will have the clock for 8 hours. They'll take it 7.5 hours every time in case the news breaks. Like, people do that. And again, this is why I hate slow drafts. This is why I think they're horrible. I've always said if you can't sit down for a few hours to do a draft, you shouldn't be in the league anyway. But the idea that some people wait and stall this thing out, not because they're not ready to make a pick, because they're waiting to see if someone gets hurt, they're waiting to see if someone gets traded. I hate that. It removes all semblance of analysis that you have to make when you have 90 seconds on the clock to make a decision, giving you 7.5 hours to do research. So I said 45 days. Now that you had more time to think about it, what's your over-under number?
Oh, man.
I said 45, man said 90. It's probably closer to Jeff.
45 is probably fair. That's a lot of drafting for everyone to kind of have that rotation. If there's any holidays coming up, those are going to be dead days. So yeah.
Have you ever done a 45-round slow draft?
No.
I don't think anyone should.
30 might be the most I've ever done. 30 rounds.
We'll definitely update everyone on this because we still might be doing this draft. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com joins us every Friday here to talk football. Again, catch his 4-hour live stream. Not his, but he was leading the crew yesterday, the 4-hour live stream over at fantasyguru.com. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. Get signed up for either the seasonal football package. Get signed up for any of the football packages, but get signed up for the seasonal football package or the offseason franchise mode if you want to see that 4-hour live stream and the coverage there. Russ, thanks for your time today. We'll see you next Friday. Enjoy your weekend, and let's go. Hope the rest of the draft treats you well.
Let's go. Also, quick shout out to Serge and Jorge Pucks and Rich Mileto for coming on the live stream. They were awesome. Serge hung out with us. We wrangled him, and he ended up hanging out for like an hour and a half. So that was great.
Did he have like a video game chair or something he was sitting in?
Yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah,
he's one of those fancy, like he's in a race car kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for your time today, Russ. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Ray.
You got it. He's Russell Clay. I'm Ray Flowers. Have a great weekend. We'll continue to cover and follow all this over at FG. Obviously, Russ is talking about updating the rankings, all that kind of stuff in the Dynasty setup. And you can always hit us up in Discord. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. Send a note. support@fantasyguru.com. support@fantasyguru.com. And don't forget baseball. We've got that coverage rocking and rolling right now for you as well as basketball and hockey. All the big four, we're covering them right now. Send that note to support@fantasyguru.com. For us, I'm Ray. It's been Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com. We'll see you on Monday.